it's 7 o'clock, time for the February 23rd version of City Council. Can I get a call for a roll call, please?
Elwick.
Here.
Gates.
Here.
Fluhop.
Here.
Stark.
Here.
Senior is absent.
All right, you all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Get a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Andrews, popping in there. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Riley, second by Bethany. Any questions, comments, concerns? Kids? Anything? Anything? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to number 5 already. Receive and file communication, petitions, remonstrances. Anybody? Why are you laughing?
You just said it really bubbly over
Trying to
enjoying
drain
it, that's all.
Well, we can go for the alternative when I'm pissy.
Just sit back and enjoy it.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, have none. So, moving on to committee reports. What have we done? Nothing.
We had a work session.
Oh, yeah, we did. Want to talk about that?
We had a work session.
Perfect.
Business type activities, met with our new sanitation provider and went over some particulars of the contract. They were gonna write a draft and get it to Chris, and eventually it will be before us.
Good enough. Anything else? None? All right. Now it's time for citizens input. Citizens input. The council won't take any action on public comments this meeting, but may do so at a future meeting. Anybody wish to speak?
Oh,
Shelby, state who you are, where you live, all that good stuff.
Shelby Baker, I live 3 miles south of Vinton. I won the tree bid for the park. We've been working on it. I've been harassed by bloggers continuously on it. Called me on February 8th, said there's giant ruts in the park. Came in, met him on site, met with him and Brian Elwick. Just grass compaction from driving on frozen ground. When I met him in site, I told him in person, I said, we'll come in and clean up sticks and grindings at one time with equipment. I know there's sticks on the ground. We took the trees down when there was snow on the ground. I'm not paying my guys to rake stick size, no. I told him, I said, we're gonna bring in power broom, clean it all up, clean all the grindings, backfill it. If there's any ruts after that, we'll bring a roller in and do it. He's still continued, to tell us it's terrible. I had Blake go drive by it. I went out and walked personally with Scott Myers the next day. He's not worried about it. I'm gonna meet with Bud. Me and Bud are gonna meet and walk it down. I'm just tired of this guy harassing me. He stopped Steve Helms on Tuesday, who was out there grinding at the time. Told him how terrible everything looks. I got till March 30th by contract to get it done. So I got 35 days. All the trees are down and gone. All the stumps are ground. We're bringing in a power broom tomorrow, sweep everything, get the stump grindings out. And we just got to backfill and get out and get paid. If they want to roll, we'll roll it.
And you're doing that tomorrow?
We're power sweeping tomorrow.
Well, I'll see if I can get back early and we'll give you a call.
I'll be around all day. If we're done for the day, I'll buzz back into town. But
So you're gonna backfill,
stump grinding.
okay,
They're
and you'll roll the ruts?
There ain't no rust, but yeah. If you
There are some. Up close to the tower. There's some,
Well, we'll go check it out.
yeah,
We're gonna walk it. If there's anything, I'm sure
I
I'll fix
already
it.
sourced the roller, so
okay.
not a big deal. I think once it freezes, thaws out and rains, I think it's just a little compact.
Andrew, you would not.
I looked at them and I agreed. I don't think it's gonna be a big deal once it all.
Yeah, we got like a
Good enough?
It didn't look too terrible.
So let's let him, like, on occasion, we do tend to jump in the middle of things before they're actually complete and make them no worse, so let's let him finish his job.
Yep.
Then if we don't like it, we'll come knock on your
Yeah,
door.
I'll make it right. I'm gonna get
So-
it done ahead of time, so if there are problems, we'll get it straightened out.
We're good.
but-
So, good enough?
Alright.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody out there?
Anybody wish to address the council, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of the Zoom app, please. That would be your city attorney.
There's 3 of them.
That would be you, Doug, correct? There's Doug.
Good evening.
Oh, it is Doug. Okay. Well, I didn't want to see you, I just wanted to know who it was. All right,
In that case,
moving on. Old business, none. Look at us, new business already. Now I need a motion first consideration of ordinance 1080, an ordinance adding a new subsection regarding no parking.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Tammy. So this is running out past Marvin Lindsay Field, 1,000 feet south of where it intersects the highway, which puts it pretty far past the outside of the outfield, so people won't be tending just to want to park there anymore.
We did talk about that in work session, sorry.
Where you been?
And
All right.
Scott is on, if you had any questions, you did have a question about how long, but figured it out, so.
Yep. You good with that, Scotty?
So, when a farmer come in, he can't get his equipment down here when there's.
Yeah, we should be good to go. We got enough signs to do it. I looked the other day.
Okay.
I talked to Dusty though, and he said he'd appreciate us not doing that until they get the other parking completed or figured out, rocked or whatever they had going. I'm not sure what they were.
Well, we're not quite, this has to go through 3 readings anyhow, doesn't it? So,
Correct, and also I've got Nate working on the ditch as well.
alrighty.
Chris,
Yep.
like what I talked to you about, as far as the parking,
Yeah,
that's in the county.
half of the roads in the county. Typically,
Okay.
Scott, have we always rocked the entire road, or has the county rocked it?
I'm saying for the ordinances, the county's gonna have to do the no parking.
Why is that not part of ours in our city limits, isn't it?
We haven't annexed it since we purchased it.
That was my recommendation to annex all that, since it's ours.
I thought we already maintained the road.
Doesn't matter, it's still in the county.
We do maintain.
Yeah, we've always bladed and rocked that road. They've always bladed and rocked the extension of Second Avenue.
I'm not trying to cause issues, but
Yeah, but when we did the trail, the only part of the county owned was down around the tip.
Correct, on that side.
on the west side,
Alright, well, we better back up on that then and get it annexed first before we pass any ordinances. So,
I just learned about the parking thing, this week.
okay, good enough. Alright, motion withdrawn, the second withdrawn?
Yeah.
Alright, for the next council meeting, we should probably have something about annexing that. And I suppose, I don't know what kind of process that has to go through.
About 8, 9 months.
I hope not that long.
It usually does with Secretary of State's office, it does, but
Yeah, we
yeah.
have.
Yeah. In the meantime, yeah, we'll have the county put up the no signs, or we'll supply them if we're okay with it. Wanna get a hold of Myron, somebody?
I can.
That'd be great. Perfect. Alright. Now we need to have a discussion of property transfer agreement of East School. Doug, you're up again. So,
are we at number 12, Mr. Mayor?
We are on number 9B.
9B, whoa, we're way up there. Okay. Yes. So the East School Building, has been offered to the city, as what I will call a gift. So we prepared a property transfer agreement, I think you probably have in your packet to look at. And the transfer is proposed to be for the sum of $1. A lot of times, I think this will be one of those cases when a building like this or a property in general is gifted to the city, oftentimes then the city agrees kind of to cover some of the costs of the transaction and costs that would otherwise normally flow to the seller of property. So in this case, for example, property taxes accrued on that property through the date of the gift. Typically, a seller of property pays all the accrued property taxes. The way this is drawn, that would not be the case. The city would accept responsibility for those. Keeping in mind that all the city has to do is pass a resolution and send it to the board of supervisors saying, please abate its taxes. So you really wouldn't have to pay anything. It's just relieving the transferee of that, or the transferor, excuse me, of that obligation. The city would pay revenue and transfer tax. There won't be any. So normally there isn't a transaction, a gift situation, there is none. To our knowledge, there's no special assessments, anything like that to worry about. Closing on the property would be about 60 days out. You know, whether or not there's any fixtures in the building that the property, current property owner wants to take, I don't know of any of those, and I'm not sure how the city would feel about that if there were things. So right now, all fixtures stay the way this is written. Property is being transferred as is. The seller will give the city an abstract. The city would pay to update the abstract. Again, typically that's an expense of the seller, but there's no money changing hands, so in this case, the city would pay for that update. If they don't have an abstract, we'll have to talk about that, because that gets a little bit more expensive. But I don't know if there'll be a lot of choice there with regard to who might pay for that. But the goal would be to get an abstract from the owner, have it updated, do a title opinion to be sure we know what the city's getting. You don't want to take it on if there's judgments or liens against it. I know we've done a little bit of a title search, so we have a good feel for what's out there. No need for a survey really. No known environmental hazards. The transferee would give a warranty deed to the city. There is understatement as to liens. There's a judgment in a Vinton County case, or it's actually a Vinton case from many years ago, where there's a lien on this property. The city would agree to, acquire the property, knowing of that lien, and release it as a lien against the property. No real need for approval of court. Just working my way down here. Some of this is just kind of boilerplate language, so I'm just working my way towards the bottom. I guess that's about it, as far as unusual or abnormal provisions, if you will. There might be a phrase in there related to phase 1 environmental that I might have skipped over. And I know if Blake's there, he can talk about it a bit as well to see where that process is at. But if the city's of a mind that you're going to, whether you're going to renovate or demolish the property, and you don't need to know that right now, but either way, to be eligible for some money from the state of Iowa to help with the cost of an asbestos inspection and asbestos abatement, you need to have a phase 1 environmental done before you acquire the property. So we'll want to, if I missed putting that term in here, we'll want to add that prior to actually taking title to the property, you'll want to potentially work through the DNR brownfield program, have a phase 1 environmental performed, and that makes you then eligible for DNR grants to help with an asbestos inspection and abatement. So Blake, I think, has been in touch with Mel Pins, so Blake, do you want to add on that at all?
Yeah, I've already submitted a grant proposal for a phase 1 and an asbestos inspection, which was accepted. by the DNR. That's part of what's gonna come next is, acceptance of the proposals for that and the acceptance of the grant to cover the cost of those. As far as, monetary concerns with the transfer of this property, one of the only major one, that's out there as far as liens go against the property is there is a tax, certificate on the property, for about 1,700 and change. So if the property owner is gonna be unable to hand the property over clean title, having purchased back that certificate, the city's looking at, probably close to $2,500 in, taxes that need to be made right, both to the certificate holder.
Plus
So-
legal fees, plus everything it's costing.
Plus everything else, so that'll be something that council needs to decide if that's something they're gonna stick to ensure the property owner's gonna at least cover that much, or if the city's willing to just,
Well, first thing, we need to go through the inspection
correct.
and find out how much that one's gonna be.
When did this come about? When did he approach somebody about this?
I served, well, what was that, September? September, Tevin's dad came to us, asking if the city'd be willing to take the property back. We talked about that for a while, and the conversation ended with, first, if you want this to happen, you're gonna have to have Tevin transfer it into your name, and then we can continue to speak with you about it. Danny never came back to us, property never transferred. I served, a property maintenance unsafe building on the property, December, late November. And at that point, Tevin reached out to me and, shared the same feelings as Danny, that he would just like to be done with the building, give it to the city, and be able to walk away without having to deal with everything else that will proceed if they maintain possession of the building.
Why does he have to transfer it into Danny's name?
Well, if Danny wants to talk to us about what's gonna happen with the building, it needs to be his building. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter, it's just whoever's talking to us needs to be the owner of the building.
Okay.
Is this something we wanna do?
I can't answer that.
Well, the first thing is we got a grant to go check it for asbestos. That's the
Gotta-
first thing.
Gotta,
Yeah.
And then we can make decisions, because this is just discussion tonight anyhow.
right.
We haven't made a decision if we're gonna do it or not, but we already
We've
got the
already-
grant to do this.
Well, we've already invested Doug's time and cost in this. We probably should have talked about if it's something we even want to do
Well-
before
Exactly. Well, what's gonna happen
that got to Doug.
well, what happens is you're in the way early before it even gets to that consideration. In order to even think about going forward to get grants, or if you wanna even look at it, no matter what, you still have to have a phase one environment, no matter what. That's correct, Doug, right?
Yeah, the one thing I would say, two things about phase one environmental, it is covered in the purchase agreement. You know, we could, if the council is of a mind to say, before we acquire this property, I should take that, before we even sign an agreement to acquire the property, let's see if the owner will just grant us permission to get a phase one evaluation. And you get that permission, get the phase one, and that can be part of your decision-making process on whether or not you want to enter into this transfer agreement. Keeping in mind, the phase one evaluation doesn't involve any analysis of soils, contaminants, anything. It's more of a historical review of the property. And that helps make a decision whether you need to do a phase two evaluation, which is where you might take soil samples. You may take, samples of portions of the building for one reason or another, but the phase one doesn't do any of that other than look at this history of the site, history of the building, what it's been, how the history could result in contamination, And then based on that, there's recommendations on what the next steps are. If you have just an understanding or a short, one paragraph, agree with the property owner that says, I'm gonna grant the city permission to enter the property for purposes of phase one evaluation, as part of the city's decision-making process, you can do that.
Yeah, and I get that, and I think to Tammy's point here, I think, Chris, this is shame on you, and I really shame on you.
Okay.
You should have brought it to the council first, say, hey, are we even interested in having Doug write a transfer agreement, or are we even interested in taking it back? But no, you jumped in and had him write a transfer agreement without even consulting any of us.
But that's where we are, so
Yep, so.
that's,
To
So
be fair,
anyhow-
to be fair, I am the one who had Doug write this, and,
So again,
yep, and that's why this is just a discussion.
but it's already costing the taxpayers dollars, and you don't even know if the city council is even wanting to consider taking the building.
Fair enough, but the amount of time Doug has spent on this is no different than if I was dealing with an exceptionally dirty property and my time speaking with him as far as guidance on how to move forward with that.
And this one has the potential of costing us $50,000 by the time we demo it. So it's just one of those things. I get what your position is, but understand that maybe just come to us as one of the council meetings and say, hey, we're thinking about, he approached me, wanting us to take the building.
So my question for council is this. Mr. Dvorak is currently prepared at this time to hand it over to the city. If he chooses not to hand it over to the city, it remains an unsafe building that is a blight on the neighborhood, which I will pursue my job against, which will incur costs from Doug. It will result in court time. It will result in a court order for possibly demolition or rehabilitation, which, to be fair, I don't imagine Mr. Dvorak has the funds to do either of those for. And so we end up with a court order asking for demolition of this building that the city now has to act upon. And we end up with the same place we are.
Yep. However, if it's a judgment against the property, then it gets liened,
And then it becomes an unsellable parcel of land because it has such a high price tag.
and it's gonna have that high price tag anyhow, because we sell everything for what it's gonna cost us to get it fixed. And that's gonna be through all this anyhow, so if we have demo, that lot's going to be worth more than it's assessed.
Similar to the vacant lot on West Sixth Street that we had the taxes.
Anyhow, my point is, before you get us into a whole bunch of title transfer stuff, just a little communication goes along, you know. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, fair.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. That's good, I'm done. So anyhow, since we can't make any decisions, but I assume we're moving forward with the inspection and everything.
So there's a grant to pay for the phase one
And the asbestos inspection.
and also the phase two, okay. Cause
Well,
the phase one doesn't seem to be,
The phase one, phase two are separate from the asbestos inspection.
I mean, phase one doesn't seem to do anything for us besides tell us what the building used to be used for apparently. So
And
that's-
thankfully, it's always been school.
yeah. So phase two is
If-
just a little more.
If there's chemicals that have leaked into the ground based on what they find in the historic research.
Okay, so I have a question. Can we even move on to see if we don't have some sort of agreement with Mr. Dvorak that says we're gonna be allowed on the property to do things?
He's gonna have to give us that permission to go on there and do these.
Correct.
So do we need that before we can move forward with C, D, and E of the approvals of all of these things?
I would throw in, if the council is okay with proceeding with the phase one evaluation, and Blake talks, I think you can just, without taking formal action, if you just let Blake know that you're comfortable at least doing that, so long as it's grant supported, with the understanding that the owner consents to it, I think Blake can work that out with the property owner. I would say one thing, just maybe some follow-up between Blake and Mel Pins. In my experience, the asbestos inspection, you're only eligible for that if you own the property. So while I think you're qualified for it and the state will pay for it, I think you have to take ownership of the property before you can actually do the asbestos inspection. You do the phase one before you own it, so that you have a clear understanding of what you're getting into. And I think if the phase one identifies issues, then there's some state money to help with the phase two, which would also occur before ownership in my recollection. But I don't think the asbestos inspection can happen until after you own.
Okay? That's gonna eliminate number D, isn't it?
Supposed to pay for asbestos inspection, is that what the
The
ground
E
is?
is for the phase one, which is fairground, right?
Fairground is phase one.
And that's what the grant's for.
The grant covers the cost of both,
Okay.
phase one and asbestos.
Okay,
So we'll have the grant, we can approve the grant.
then we'll have it if we need to do asbestos. Okay.
Okay. That was easy. Any other discussion on that? So Tevin, I assume you're anxious to get rid of it before the end of March when your taxes come due?
Yes, sir.
I bet you are. So, hopefully we'll have a decision by then.
Yes.
So, and I think the intention of the council is to go ahead and get phase one stuff done. Okay? Good enough, Doug? That work?
Yeah, I think that works. The only thing I guess I'd add one comment based on your account on the tax sale certificate. Odds are the tax sale certificate holder bought the taxes without having any idea what the building was, looked like, anything. Because they assume somebody paid the taxes, they just made some interest on the tax payment. They aren't gonna want the building. I can almost guarantee it. So in a situation like that, I've successfully negotiated with the tax sale purchaser to basically allow you to redeem their certificate or to get the assignment of their certificate for either what they have in it or less, but no interest, because they'll be happy just to get their money back, because they aren't gonna want this property. The tax sale purchaser, pure and simple, buys taxes to make interest, not to get property, especially when, it's something kind of a big albatross such as this that isn't easily saleable. So the city cost, if you should decide to acquire it, I think you could probably take care of that tax sale certificate for less than he's really owed.
And can we get that forgiven by talking to the county then?
No. Because
I'm not too excited about
a private
taking on.
individual purchased those taxes, so they need to be repaid either at cost, depending on how they're willing to negotiate. And that will be a conversation between what council's willing to allow and what Tevin is able to afford.
I'll pay the
There's no money
taxes on
exchange
it.
hands.
I'll pay the taxes on it.
I was
The
gonna say.
$1,700 that's owed.
Is that what
Pay
this
that.
fixed series LLC owns?
Correct.
He owns that 1790 or 23 or whatever it is.
Correct.
43, you can pay that back.
Yeah. I figured I owed taxes on it.
So that would get you back in clear title of it and everything else.
Yeah, I just need to know where to pay it and when to pay it, so.
The treasurer's office.
And then once you do that, then it comes back in and then it's a clean title again. Well, no tax sale anyhow.
Right.
All right, well anyhow. Like I said, move forward with your permission, let's do the phase one and we'll go from there.
And I have a document for you to sign for the contractor that would do that. That would, in writing,
Are
give
we
them.
do that tonight or?
I can get it for you tonight.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on that?
Good for you right now.
Okay. No, we're gonna go ahead and approve that thing with thermal compensates, once we get to it. All right, now we need a motion for Mr. C, approval of proposal from Fairgrave for phase one environmental site assessment.
Second.
Motion by Anthony, second by Riley. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on, now I need a motion of approval of quote from Active Thermal Concepts for asbestos inspection.
Motion.
Motion by Andrew, second by Bethany. Anything on that? All those in favor? Now I need a motion approval of Iowa Brownfield Redevelopment Program Community Assistant Grant Contract.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Riley. So this is paying for all that stuff, I assume? All right. Well, let's roll call that one since it's an Iowa grant. Just in case.
Stark,
Yes.
Elwood,
Yes.
Gates. Yep. Fluhop.
Yes.
Well, we just not gonna have a whole- just about. Alrighty, moving on to item F. I need motion approval of the annual service proposal and contract for Wheeling Outdoor Warning Sirens.
Motion.
Motion by Riley, second by Bethany. So these are all our ones, they are the ones that re-updated them and everything, and good to go. Alright. Any questions on that? Yes, no? Alright, roll call please.
Gates. Yep. Stark.
Yep.
Fluhop.
Yes.
Elwood.
Yes.
Okay. Need a motion approval of agreement for bridge inspections with Calhoun Burns and Associates.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Tammy, second by Andrew. Any questions on that, or annual inspections? Roll call please.
Fluhop.
Yes.
Gates.
Yep.
Stark.
Yes.
Elwood.
Yes.
Okay, item H, I need motion approval agreement with ICC Community Development Solutions for Content Management Systems.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Andrew. Got a little mix up there. This is your baby, right?
This is neat. So a year ago, as part of my budget proposal, I wanted to start tackling all of our records and digitalizing and going through our storage room. The initial quote I had gotten is from a different vendor. I don't know how to describe it other than they just kind of went weird in our relationship with them. And I reached out to Laserfish. Municipalities use them all over the place for their record retention, for their digitalizing. So while they are the product, you have to get them through like the middleman essentially. So the quote in front of you is for that. The majority, there'll be a yearly maintenance fee for hosting, and then the one-time lump sum of training for us to do it. I went through demos with them. It's exactly what we need. We'll be able to scan in all of our resolutions and make our information usable.
Is this like a lot cheaper than the last one? I feel like
Yes.
this rate is way less than
Yes.
what we talked about last time, like a lot.
Yes, a lot. They also manage a public portal, so part of the information we put and have in our portal, we can select public. So we can have all of our minutes that way, all of our resolutions, agendas, whatever, accessible from our website, but be part of this portal, so it can just provide more information to the public easier. Yeah. We're eager to get started. It's going to be, that room is going to be a process in itself. A lot of it in there can be shredded. You just simply don't need it anymore. This quote does not include any outsourcing of the scanning. We're gonna do it all ourselves, as time permits.
Have they seen the room?
They're not
I mean-
doing it, they're not doing any of that,
Right.
right?
And a lot of it can be tossed, that's the
So,
thing.
so do they make the judgment? I mean, in their expertise, do they make the judgment this can go,
No.
this,
The League of Cities maintains a record retention manual, and that's what we look at.
perfect.
So they're not gonna be in that room at all, they're just gonna set everything up, you're gonna scan everything in the room, is that what you mean?
We have really quiet billing weeks when we're off a tag cycle or a reminder cycle. I think we can putz at it, and if we find out we're not making any progress, maybe we hire someone, I don't know,
Yeah,
but,
interns.
Saturday and Sunday.
what?
It's always always Saturday and Sunday.
There is always
That's
Saturday,
right.
Sunday.
Are you all?
He's salary, your salary. Just to come in on Saturday and Sunday and get them done.
I think you're salaried too, right?
Not part-time though. And part of that time is not the weekend?
So they'll tell us all what to do with all the blueprints.
Yep, and they'll help us set up all the, so we'll have folders and they'll help us configure everything, so our portal is set up how we need it, filing, how it
How much
goes.
did we budget for that?
That was cool.
30.
So I wouldn't be opposed to just finding somebody that can just function in doing that to get it done.
But I'm not going to let anybody decide what's tossed, except,
No.
Get to that point where you wanna get rid of the stuff.
and that's what we're working on right now. So the real amount of what we have to scan, to be determined. And to sit there and throw a resolution binder through the scanner. We'll see.
Okay.
The Brian, the gentleman that put this proposal together, said he does have contacts for firms that will do it if we wanted to hire someone.
I'm sure we can get right to that 30,000 really quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else got any questions?
That's awesome.
Roll call.
Stark,
Yes.
Gates.
Yep.
Elwick,
Yes.
Fluhop.
Yes.
All right, moving on to reports. Chris.
Okay, next council meeting, you're gonna have to schedule a work session, I believe, for Mr. Matt Wilden. His road request, Nate will be here at the next meeting as well, because we'll have on the agenda, the bridge contracted agreement with Fairground. Also, I received a call from Senator Grassley's office today, just informing us that we have been fully funded for the firefighters, air pack equipment.
Nice.
So that grant was approved, and we got the call this afternoon. And
Awesome.
looking at the week of March 13th, if everything comes in from the county auditor to do our budget. Budget has been extended to April 30th because of a mistake in Des Moines, so hopefully we should have our next meeting, I'm looking at that week, for March 13th. Don't know the date exactly, but I will let council know. That is all I have.
Okay.
What time is that work session?
I don't know yet. I said, once I get it, I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, for the other one, but we
Oh,
can
work
do
work
session,
session.
work session.
Does he need more than a half hour?
I don't think you need more than a half hour for that.
We did last time, was that Public Works?
Yeah, and the Public Works actually has done it, consider.
So Andrew will get together with a time for that.
Super.
Your committee of two.
Yes. Just noticing that.
You can pick whatever time you want, there's nobody here to argue with you.
That's right. Anyhow, I'm sure you'll get with Ron and
Yep.
figure that out.
Yep.
Okay. Nick?
Committee reports, or, sorry, department reports. I have the, letter for all of the stakeholders for the rental code. It is drafted, it is in an envelope, it will be mailing out tomorrow, so that they should be seeing that, with the invitation to the next committee meeting, April 13th, 6 p.m. I've moved into my new workspace.
You were in your new workspace?
I'm in my new workspace, that is nice.
Stop by and look at it.
Your old kitchen.
No.
You know, I told him to put it in the bathroom. Oh, it was in the bathroom.
Yeah, he's in the shower.
Nice.
Other than that, not a whole lot, other than, getting things straightened out for, the items I've had on the agenda this evening.
Chief?
We did, offer a position to an individual, accepted. He's starting, first of this month. He comes from, Lynn County. Been with them for 5-6 years. Actually, he started his law enforcement career as a reserve with Lynn County since he turned age 18, so he's been with them for quite a while, so. Really excited about that. Again, we got Blake Workspace taking care of his office. I do a little renovating on the patrol side, but everything's done. What was I gonna say? As far as the parking thing, again, I didn't realize that was going through until earlier or later this week, and I apologize for that. But other than that, nothing else to add. So.
Well, if that's the worst thing that happens, we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Melissa?
I've been working with our new garbage hauler for reports and numbers and addresses to be concerned with. The work session, we talked about a letter to our current hauler. Doug's got something drafted and we'll send that out later this spring. I would remind you all, the deadline for ward vacancies is tomorrow at 4. I will plan to email out the applications, and then we'll see you Monday night at 6 for interviews.
Did you send out a meeting invite for that?
I believe it did.
Oh, and by the way, my garbage cans are different sizes.
I don't think any of us had any doubt.
No, yes, no one had any doubt.
Anything else? Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to crazy enough ruckus, so. Moving on, good welfare. We are into March, winter's almost over. I'm a happy man. So, it only gets warmer from here. So.
Matt had something to say. August.
Oh, I didn't realize he was on, he wasn't on there earlier. So, guess I can hit Scotty and Matt.
Well, I didn't, can you hear me?
Yep.
Alright, I didn't know if you wanted me to say anything or not, so, I just got a call yesterday from Delta Dental. We got awarded a 5,000 Rethink Your Drink, grant to buy a water bottle fill station at BL Anderson Park, so we'll be putting that out, this spring, so that's kinda cool. We're the first people to get awarded that this year. So that's kinda nice. I met with Tomlinson Scannon today. They're unfortunately not gonna be able to do the renovations on the rec center that we were hoping they could do. I guess they don't do, outside foundation repair. They only do it from the inside, the guy told me. So they're not gonna be available to help us out. And then I'm meeting next week with a group of park and rec directors from Northeast Iowa to talk about our potential budget situation. So I will report back when, on what we kind of discussed and talked about. So that's all I got.
Okay. Scotty?
I am not having basketball practice right now. Started tree work, removal. We did some of ours, now we're working with the electric department to get some of the ash trees over the wires removed. And then the other crew's out trimming zone 5, so between sanding and snow removal, we're still working on trees. That's it.
Yeah, I am gonna back up. You guys got that thing forwarded from you. Did you send it to everybody? That little clerk thing?
Yeah.
About the House bill,
No.
Senate bill.
or the Senate bill, I mean.
No, I just sent it to you and Chris today.
Why don't you get it sent to everybody? And can you send out your contacts to Mr. McClintock, everybody, I encourage everybody to contact him and kind of go through that list. I started reading it today, and it's very thorough on what it has to say, and let them know what it's gonna do to the community. It's pretty spelled out, pretty black and white right there, so. It is a community killer in the world,
Yeah, very damaging.
so. Basically, whatever happens, if it passes, we're stuck forever, pretty
Well,
much.
no, you decline,
Well, yeah, you
no
would
matter
decline,
what.
so. Okay, that's all I have.
Family bingo Sunday night.
What's that?
Family bingo Sunday night.
Family bingo Sunday night, Mr. Bogus.
He's, I don't think he can.
Oh, he's got his hand
Something
up.
like that.
Yeah, I won't be there. I'll be in Des Moines for my daughter's state basketball tournament, and then I'll be there for Des Moines on Monday for our girls' state basketball tournament.
Nice. Good deal.
But yes, bingo on Sunday. Thank you, Big Dan. Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
And that is, it was packed over there the other night.
I love bingo.
Apparently everybody else does. They
It's
did
a
not,
nice indoor activity.
huh?
It's a nice indoor activity.
It is, so. Alrighty. Anything else? Alright, folks. Now I need a motion to move into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.5, Parent 1, Paragraph J, Parent J, to discuss the purchase of particular real estate where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price the governmental body would have to pay for that property.
Is that it?
Motion.
Motion by Tammy,
Second.
seconded by Riley. Roll call, please.
Elwick,
Yes.
Gates.
Yep.
Fluhop.
Yep.
Sargent.
Alright, we're gonna take a little break while everybody gets. Can I get a motion to approve of a letter of intent regarding certain real property? Motion by Tammy, second by Riley. Any questions? Roll call.
Gates.
Yep.
Elwick,
Yes.
Sargent,
Yes.
Fluhop. Yes.
Alright, now I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Motion by Riley, second by Bethany, all those in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Dude,